All right. Hello, everyone. This is the Super Metroid Any% tournament for GSA. Welcome, everyone. We are doing a bracket of 16 runners, and this is all sub 50, so it's going to be a very interesting tournament. My name is Typo, and I am joined by Kip. What's up, Kip?
Hey, what's up, Typo? Good evening, everybody. As Typo mentioned, this is the first race of the GSA Super Metroid 80% Tournament 2018. And there are exactly 16 entrants into this tournament. Tonight's race is between the 5th seed, LynxXUnlimited, versus InsaneFirebat. And if I recall correctly, Typo, I believe we'll be seeing both routes tonight.
Yeah, I believe Lynx does so-called new route, which will actually go over the moat pretty early. If people don't know what the moat is, they'll find out. I think about what is it, like about 9 minutes in.
Yeah, roughly. And therefore, since he's going over the moat early, he'll be fighting Fantoon first. New route boss order is Fantoon, Ridley, Kraid, Dragon, whereas the quote-unquote old route boss order that you'll see from InsaneFirebat will be sort of the more, I guess, traditional or maybe intended way. Kraid first, Fantoon second, Dragon third, and Ridley last. So you'll see not only a difference in boss order, but also a little bit of a difference between what items these guys collect. But apparently there is actually a commonality here. InsaneFirebat, although he runs old route, is one of our old route runners that still collects Spazer. So we will see that from both runners, but he will then later upgrade that to Plasma.
Yeah. Do you have any information on the PBs for these two runners? I can pull it up if you don't.
I don't have it pulled up at the moment, although I do know, I think InsaneFirebats is somewhere around the lines of like 43, 46. I think he was just barely behind me during the last 80% tournament a few months ago, and I remember I had to race him in the round of 16. And then since then, I think he's passed mine by 8, 9, 10 seconds, something like that. And I think InsaneFirebat has a sub 50 of maybe like a 48 something, but I can't quite remember.
Hold on, I'll pull this up on Deer Tier right now. Looks like InsaneFirebat has a 47.41, and I have Lynx here with a 43.46. Now, you do want to remember that the tougher route here is new route, the one that Lynx is doing, so there is more of a chance of something going wrong for Lynx. However, both of these runners are very experienced in this game, so I wouldn't, discount either of them. I just want to kind of make it known that it could go either way here.
Yeah, and before we get fully started, I just want to make sure everybody knows. Type exclamation point bet BET in the chat to get a link to the sponsors for this tournament. That's Vi. I believe you're allowed to bet on these matches. You have to be of legal age, and I believe it's restricted to outside the United States. But check that out if you want to take a look at it. And we're very appreciative that we have some financial donors to sponsor this tournament.
Yeah, for sure. So anything you're really interested in seeing this tournament? I guess we've already started actually. I completely missed the start, but we are going, and they are currently in escaping the station. Do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, so basically right now they're both escaping series, and there's a little bit of randomness here to the steam patterns. But once you get into this last room, if you're quick enough, then you should be able to avoid the steams. But if you happen to get accidentally hit by one like Lynx did here, it can be kind of difficult because they start chaining together. So InsaneFirebat able to get off of the station a few seconds ahead of Lynx. The only thing I'll say about this particular matchup in advance is I'll kind of echo what you said, Typo. Clearly, if you look at PB time, Lynx has the advantage or should be the favorite here. However, if he chooses to run new route and doesn't put in very many safeties, or technically even if he did, it's still by default a riskier run. So in a one-run scenario, as opposed to going for a PB, if you're talking about one-run scenario where a lot of different things can happen, it's definitely the riskier run. So we'll kind of see how it pans out here.
Yeah, and at the beginning here, you can see that both runners are leaving the ship, and they're going straight into this area here where they're going to head down what is referred to as the climb. and pick up morph ball, pick up some missiles. It's all very basic. There's no divergence yet. That'll happen much later. But we do see that Lynx was using something called Moonfall there. And do you want to explain that, Kip?
Yeah, I guess I should openly admit that I'm not a Moonfall user in most of the main categories. But what it does basically it allows you to, I guess, uncap your fall speed by doing a moonwalk off of a ledge and then like falling off. Lynx was able to save ballpark around 4 seconds or so just on that fall alone there, and you can tell that he's already back ahead, even though he took several seconds to get off series more than InsaneFirebat. There's not, you know, an abundance of places in the run to be able to utilize that. I think, generally speaking, if you were to go for and get all the ones that seem relatively common, I think around 7 seconds or so is the most that you could save on the run. However, it does make some of the fights a little more complicated when you start to use your charge beam and you walk backwards instead of turning around. You'll moonwalk really slowly. And if you're not used to that, you can sometimes make some mistakes when you're fighting Ridley or in some other areas. So it's definitely not a free 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds, however many it is for how many moonfalls you go for. But it's something people have to practice a lot of different strats for to be able to utilize.
Yeah, that's for sure. I never really got accustomed to Moonfall and Moonwalk, but maybe someday. So what both runners are doing now, they're still very close to each other. They're gonna go through this room that's referred to as reverse pitless, kill these pirates, and then go up something called the climb, which can be done a number of ways. The two most common ways are to do a ledge grab climb and to do a wall jump climb. And we can see that Lynx is doing a ledge grab climb, and that InsaneFirebat is doing the wall jump climb on the right side.
Yeah, I would say what InsaneFirebat is doing here is sort of I would call it the more traditional way. I think that method was utilized, sort of as the standard way for a long, long time. But the ledge grab climb has been something sort of recently made popular by Behemoth. He's not the only player to have ever done it, or even necessarily the first, but given the fact that he's the world record holder and a lot of people watch his streams and keep up with the strats, he kind of put that strat in the forefront. And some people, including myself, I use that strat, find it to be a little bit more consistent. Unfortunately, InsaneFirebat just barely misfired one of those missiles into the door and had to backtrack for a second to kill a few of those bugs to grab an extra missile. But now both players will fight their BT fight.
Yeah, so the BT fight is kind of something that you want to choreograph correctly. You want to get 4 missiles in, BT kind of delays everything, then get 2 more missiles, but before that you get 5 P shots in. And we can see that Lynx has a pretty clean fight. InsaneFirebat, same thing. So he'll be about 10 or 15 seconds behind here. And you can see that Lynx doesn't go out the normal way if you play this game casually from the BT fight. We'll see InsaneFirebat do something very similar, and that's called the Alcatraz escape.
Yeah, I guess in a way, sort of the first sequence break, if you will, from the sort of intended strat. This saves several seconds. And one thing you notice that both runners did here when they enter this room called Terminator, which is a big long room that you kind of roll down a hill there. One strat that a lot of people use is they'll bonk against the door on purpose to set up a certain run speed through the room so that they can hit all of the enemies correctly. That room can be kind of tricky, and if you don't enter at the right speed, you can end up basically like overshooting or undershooting some of the enemies. So it was cool to see them try to normalize their move speed there.
Yeah, and then the next sequence break coming up here would be getting early supers, which you aren't intended to get, but you can get by getting a mock ball through this room. So basically what Lynx is doing here is he's using that speed to roll past those gates and then grab this super missile here.
Yeah, this is probably sort of the most important, if you will, sort of like speedrun strat, when it comes to any percent. When you're first getting into the game, this is the first one you really want to pay attention to, because grabbing these super missiles here in a way that's not intended is going to save a ton of time, because now the runners will not have to fight the mini boss Spore Spawn, which takes quite a long time to kill. And this will let them go through this next room here, Big Pink, that Lynx is about to head into. And instead of going up to fight Spore Spawn, they'll just head straight down, grab another missile pack, grab Charge Beam, and then head on their way. As Typo pointed out, not only do you get to, continue with your move speed by doing this mock ball maneuver. But in particular, in that room, another key feature is that since you're in ball form, your hitbox is compressed a lot more than would be normal, which allows you to get under those gates before the game sort of intends you to. So that's considered a minor glitch in our major categories, and it really opens up a lot of different avenues for strats and getting items early.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Lynx actually got up in 2 there, which is a pretty kind of precise strat to get up from charge beam. And then he's heading into Green Hills. He's going to take a damage boost right there, but he opened the door beforehand so that he can go straight through it. It's kind of a complicated room to explain, but it's a pretty cool strat to do there.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, let's just point out the major difference here. Lynx is heading into Red Tower, and he's going to go up. This is a indication for any percent that he's going to be running New Route, or at least Fantoon first. Sometimes in some of these races, the New Route runners will elect to, instead of running straight New Route with Ridley second, sometimes people will kill Kraid second to get Various suit a little bit earlier and an extra E-Tank for Lord Norfair. But I don't know exactly what Link's plans are, but he's at least going to do his normal thing and go to Fantoon first. Well, while you'll see InsaneFirebat here just a few rooms ago, he went down. So he's heading straight to Kraid. And one major thing we need to point out about InsaneFirebat, most people do not pick up Spacer Beam in Old Route. Once you hit a certain kind of time or threshold, most people skip it because it's not overly required. But he's mentioned to us that he wanted us to tell chat that, you know, that's kind of his thing. He's never given up on Spacer, and he gets it every single run. So I think that makes his 47 even more impressive, because that's, you know, a 20 to 30 second investment to go pick that up.
Yeah, it really does. I always found a Spacer to be a little bit awkward, and the people that can master it throughout the entire game is pretty impressive. I do want to mention that Lynx is heading to Fantoon right now. He's actually going to take twice as much damage from anything that Fantoon deals out in regards to damage versus what Firebat does. But he also needs to get past this moat. And normally you would have Speed Booster to get past this, but he needs to do something very specific here, where he does a 1-frame trick to jump over and a 2-frame trick to actually get past this part, which is called a continuous wall jump. Or
yeah,
he can do this other thing if you want to explain it.
Yeah, he unfortunately missed, and you know that's not really something you can get with complete regularity. The 1-frame into the 2-frame, the CWJ. Instead, now he's going to attempt. Well, there we go. So let me kind of briefly explain. He went for the horizontal bomb jump as a backup since he missed the initial CWJ. However, it is possible if you're using Moonwalk to then moonwalk your way back into a correct position into the door, and you can still get another CWJ attempt inside the room. So he was able to do it the second time. InsaneFirebat getting the quick kill, but technically I believe missed the opening shot. So I think it took him an extra couple seconds, but good to see him kill Kraid without Kraid standing up. And now kind of the big drama here is Lynx, which I want to point out something he did before the CWJ room, before the moat room. He actually took about a 3 or 4 second slower strat to powerbomb and kill those 2 crabs, which allowed him to grab an extra powerbomb and 20 extra health. I think he did that as a race safety, which I think is a really smart decision. During this fight, anything that touches him, whether it's Fantoon's body or any of these flames, will do 40 damage. So it is very difficult and, you know, risky, and definitely a fight where people die sometimes.
Yeah, and what you saw on InsaneFirebat pick up there was the Various suit, which will reduce his damage in the Fantoon fight to 20, as well as in other areas. All right, so it looks like we have a slow pattern here starting out for Lynx. He is going to use the missile strat because you do not have any other option here. You may see InsaneFirebat do X Factor later.
Yeah, it didn't look like Lynx quite got enough to get a reliable 2-round. He might still go for it, but my guess is he'll play a safe 3-round. Yeah, so now he's probably about 4 or 5 missiles and a super short of killing Fantoon. So he's in pretty good shape here. This is probably going to be a mid pattern. That's, you know, the sort of most likely scenario. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to switch his supers quick enough to get that 3rd round, but Fantoon was kind, gave him a fast 4th round, and Lynx is through. Perfectly fine with his health, and we'll see what kind of drops he gets.
Yeah, so that was really nice. The fact that you have to do the moat jump so early and you have to do Fantoon with low health and more damage does make that more difficult, and that's pretty impressive for Lynx to get through that.
Yeah, for sure. And he's in pretty good shape here. Obviously, you would love to have full health and full ammo coming out of here. He does have full power bombs, which for me personally, I feel like power bombs are a little bit. I'd rather have power bombs. Like if I was going to have either supers or power bombs short, I'd rather it be the super missiles just because it can kind of clean up some of the later rooms when you're trying to farm for full power bombs before lower Norfair. Um, but yeah, he's in pretty good shape here. Picked up his second and final super missile pack, and now InsaneFirebat is in Norfair, where he will be doing the item collection portion, or I guess the main item collection portion of this run. He's going to be grabbing three really important movement and I guess beam items. He got high jump boots already. He'll be grabbing speed booster and then wave beam before he heads up to fight Fantoon. So um, the difference here between new and old route, Lynx will do the same collection as well, except for he'll only have to be in Upper Norfair one time before he kills Ridley, whereas InsaneFirebat will have to go back through portions of Upper Norfair again later before he goes down to fight Ridley. So that's kind of the primary place that new route saves time over old route.
And we see that InsaneFirebat got a very clean cack attack room there. There is a cactus that sits on top of that bubble mountain, is what it's called, room. That can easily hit you back down, but InsaneFirebat had no problem. And we see Lynx gets through bowling with 69 energy, which is pretty normal on new route. Would you say, Kip?
Yeah, that's pretty much the best you're gonna do, unless you do a specific farming strat. Most players will do well. I would say the most players would do a D boost in the previous room, so you would go down to 189 health, and then you take 120 damage in the spike room. So this is a pretty good spot for him. His ammo's in good shape, and he's going to grab gravity and head on down. And we'll see if he chooses to do Kraid first. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. He's probably going to go to Norfair and go ahead and do his normal new route. Boss order or whatever. So during that time, though, InsaneFirebat has entered Double Chamber and will be grabbing the Wave Beam here, which will be the last item that he picks up in Upper Norfair before he heads down to sort of go through the Frog Speedway and then head back up to go to Wreck Ship. So we're going to see them kind of cross paths here in just a moment.
Yeah, so Lynx is going to take this elevator back down. He's going to want to, I guess, get some energy here. The idea of going to Kraid first is kind of a safety that allows you to, have various suit for lower Norfair, which makes things a lot easier, but it's a little bit slower. And I guess it can kind of throw you, kind of up if you are used to not going to Kraid. It can kind of throw things off.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, InsaneFirebat now is able to go through this lower room that he wasn't able to earlier because he can break these blocks with the speed booster. And that's going to bypass all that stuff that he went through on the top. And now Lynx is now heading over. We're going to get to see here just a minute what he chooses to do. However, he will also be picking up Spazer. Spazer is actually the sort of standard beam to pick up in new route because since you're doing Dragon last, it doesn't save time. In fact, it eats up time to go pick up Plasma because you've already killed Ridley and you only have the Mother Brain fight left. So grabbing Spazer here will help a lot with the damage for the Ridley fight. And it actually makes some really cool strats available in the Upper Norfair section. So here we have a little high five between the players. InsaneFirebat going for the swaggy Alpha Spark there. That's a strat you don't always see. And looks like InsaneFirebat, I forgot to mention, he did pick up the Kraid tank, so it's most likely that he will at least run 4 tanks in this run.
Yeah, so he's going through Red Tower now. He's going to come up here. We already saw Lynx do this portion. With Spazer, it's a little bit different in terms of your timing. It looks like he missed that top block there, but he gets up almost smoothly. Just needs to Get right up there. Now, what he's trying to do there is he's trying to do a ledge grab, where when you're right below the ledge, you can actually either do a ledge grab or down grab. And I believe it's like one or two. What is it? It's like 1 or 2 pixels below that you can do it.
Yeah, something to that effect. Basically, in this game, I guess to try to make it a little bit more general, there's a lot of hitbox manipulation. Depending on what Samus looks like, she has different sizes of her hitbox. Like, for example, when she's spinning, she has a smaller hitbox than when she's standing straight up. So, a lot of times you'll see players try to do down grabs or ledge grabs by either extending their hitbox at the right time or shortening their hitbox at the right time to make it onto ledges they normally wouldn't be able to make it onto. And sort of as a backup, he was trying to do that down grab and just barely missed it. It's a tough strat, but was able to finally get up there and grab the power bomb pack that he'll pick up for this run. Meanwhile, Lynx did actually go straight to Norfair, which means that he is running straight up New Route. He will be entering Lower Norfair with only 2 energy tanks, and most likely, unless something weird happens, he will be only fighting Ridley with those 2 energy tanks as well. And then we'll see if he opts to pick up sort of the Ridley tank third. It can be a bit of a safety for races. In the traditional New Route, most people skip it, but we'll see what happens. He's going to go collect the same items that InsaneFirebat did, while InsaneFirebat will be heading over to Wreck Ship. Do you want to explain how these shine sparks work, Typo?
Yeah, sure. So the shine sparks, what you do is, I think what InsaneFirebat is doing here is he's probably doing a 2-tap, and the tap method actually allows you to generate a spark suit earlier than you would normally be able to. So if you do a 2-tap or a 3-tap, you're actually trying to get that suit sooner than possible normally, and you jump up, you move forward, and you can spark across a portion of the map. But it does take some energy, so you need to make sure you have enough energy for whatever you're going to go to next. So we see that InsaneFirebat does have 121 energy here. That's pretty comfortable since he's going to be taking 20 damage, so he should be pretty good. All right, so we see Lynx going up Bubble Mountain. He gets through really smoothly, goes up, and he'll be grabbing Speed Booster here. InsaneFirebat in this fight, he's choosing to stick with Spazer, and I don't know what the common strat here is for Spazer.
Well, I think what he's going to do is he's going to use the same strat that Lynx did. Most runners that run old route at this point will use some combination of X Factor strats and missiles on Fantoon, but that can only happen if you only have Wave Beam equipped. And you can see he has Spazer equipped. I think he told me earlier that he's been running this Doppler method for a long time, and he just kind of refuses to use X Factor strats because he doesn't want to turn Spazer off. So I think it's kind of cool to see him, mix and match between the 2 runs.
Yeah, definitely. And he has a pretty smooth fight there, so I think that was a 3-round.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, so Lynx heading to get Wave Beam now, and the difference here is instead of going back up, since Fantoon is already dead, he will be going down to Lower Norfair after he graves Wave.
Yeah, I think this would be a good time to remind everybody. We do actually have sponsors for this particular tournament. To my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Typo. I know you've been around a little bit longer than me, but I believe this might be the first money tournament in Super Metroid history. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Traditionally, I think Super Metroid has had a larger player base from the US, but we do have a sponsor, V, here for betting, and you can just type !bet in chat for more information. I do believe it's limited to places outside of the U.S., but feel free to check that out for more information.
Yeah, for sure. I never would have imagined that we could see people betting on a Super Metroid race, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so InsaneFirebat has a pretty good attic strat there to get through, and he'll be heading over to bowling soon, whereas Lynx is getting through the lava dive here. He's gonna have to turn off gravity suit to kind of propel him upward.
Yeah, he went for the lava spark, which is in my opinion, it's a pretty big strat. It's not a mandatory one. Not doing it doesn't actually cost as much time as a lot of people think, but he went for it and missed it. It's one of the tougher strats in this run. So now he just did the gravity jump, and I like what Lynx is doing here. He's taking a save because this is definitely the most dangerous portion of New Route in terms of like death. I mean, there's literally several rooms in Lower Norfair where if you kind of beef it a little bit, it's possible to die. So I like the fact that he's taking a save. He's aware that if he just finishes a run in the ballpark of what his average run would be, that he would have a good chance of winning because of the time difference between new and old route. So he's kind of playing it a little bit safe for a race scenario, and I think that's a smart decision.
Yeah, definitely. Things get a little bit dicey here sometimes. This is called worst room in the game that Lynx is entering right now. This is a pretty tight strat that he does here with this power bomb, and then using iframes to do a wall jump past that pirate.
Yeah, very beautiful there. Lynx did a great job. Obviously, I mentioned before, he's a really good runner, has a lot of great experience, and has really been crushing it lately. I've watched some of his runs, and he's very consistent. That is, in my opinion, other than the moat, probably the biggest choke point room of this whole run. If you don't do that correctly, it's really tough sometimes to get the backup strats for that, and a lot of people lose their runs in that room. So great job. You will probably see InsaneFirebat run a slightly different strat. When you run old route and you get to that room, you have plasma beam, and a lot of people will utilize that to do various strats where they freeze some of the pirates and stuff like that. So we'll kind of see what he opts to do. I expect him to do a different strat considering his beam combination.
Yeah, so Lynx heading into a room called Wasteland here. He has to be careful of these side hoppers. They do a lot of damage. So with 95 energy, he gets past them pretty smoothly. But right after that, what you saw him do there is he hits those spikes so he can get iframes to move through the platforms. And if you try to move through the platforms, they do a lot more damage than the spikes do. So that's why he hit the spikes before he hit the platforms.
Yeah, he accidentally ran. He was trying to do a double KO by running into spikes twice, and he accidentally ran into the spikes a third time, leaving him with 50 health. But luckily, he was able to have a clean Metal Pirates room, and he's probably going to farm, he's not going to stop and farm, but he's going to at least have a chance to farm a few bugs right here. And since he's at full supers, they have an extremely high chance to drop 20 health each. So as you can see, from the New Route perspective, for somebody who's experienced with New Route, 261 health on Ridley is a really nice number. So we see him utilizing some X Factor strats. He's going to go for 4. Unfortunately, you just saw Ridley turn around. That's an indication that a 4 factor is not possible. So he immediately turned his beams back on. He can't really control that. Ridley sometimes cooperates and sometimes he doesn't. And Typo, I'm sure you would agree with me on this. If anybody's interested out there in learning how to speedrun Super Metroid, let me just go ahead and warn you, Ridley is a giant troll.
Yes, very much so. Took me a very long time to learn Ridley's patterns, and his patterns aren't exactly something that happen consistently.
Yeah, as much as you want to manipulate him, and you can control him some, but at the same time, he just kind of does whatever he wants to do sometimes. So, but Lynx is having a really nice fight. My assumption, he's getting close here to the end. You can tell because Ridley's been pink for a little while, and Lynx unloaded a few supers into him for double damage. But my assumption is that Lynx will play it safe and grab this Ridley tank, and then probably grab the Botwoon tank as well later to run a 4-tank run. It doesn't really add that much time to the run, and it makes it way, way safer. So that was a really nice fight. In the meantime, looks like InsaneFirebat is fighting Botwoon, who I would argue has the worst hitbox of any enemy in this game.
Yeah, it's a really strange hitbox. And what InsaneFirebat does here is, instead of using X Factor, because he has Spazer, what he does is he goes directly into using supers, and then for the rest of the fight, if he does not finish off Botwoon with the supers, he just uses charged Spazer shots.
Correct. And now he's picking up the Botwoon tank, grabbing the 4th tank. And meanwhile, Lynx did do what I mentioned earlier. He did grab that Ridley tank. Even though that does add, I'm going to say somewhere in the ballpark of like 12, maybe 13, 14 seconds to the run. It does make exiting Lower Norfair extremely safer than it would have been otherwise. He gets a full refill and an extra 100 health. And there are certain rooms in this escape where you either A, have to tank a hit to do the strat, or B, if the enemies don't position themselves the way that you preferred, they do something funny, they can hit you. And everything down here does like 40 or 50 damage pretty much. So it's a really good idea, in my opinion, in this scenario for him to pick that up. And I think he'll have a nice, smooth escape at this point.
So InsaneFirebat's now going into the Dragon fight. You would actually, well, the first thing I want to mention is he needs to take out these turrets, and it's 3 missiles for each turret. If you don't take them out, they will continually shoot at you during the fight. The big thing here is he's not going to get the benefit of the X Factor to start out with the fight, which allows you to put in a bit of extra damage, but you can still get a 2-round without it. So we see that he starts out with a spark there. You want to go somewhere near Dragon's Eye, and then gets a pretty good pattern here, getting a second spark. And we'll see if he can get a third one by just going underneath Dragon and doing that. And that looks pretty good. He's just a little bit short of damage, so he'll have to do a few missiles or another spark.
Meanwhile, Lynx going through probably the most dangerous room on the escape, the 3 Musketeers. There are 3 key hunters that can definitely ruin your day and have ended many new route runs. But he had the extra health to be able to tank some just in case, and he also had a smooth exit before that. So he's in fantastic shape with his health. He's going to head up to Kraid and grab his various suit. Here's a quick difference. One thing I forgot to mention earlier. One item that Lynx won't get is what InsaneFirebat just picked up, the Space Jump. Basically, the Space Jump is hidden behind Dragon, but in New Route, since Dragon's the last boss and there aren't that many rooms left for you to actually be able to utilize Space Jump to save time, new route runners just skip it and don't pick it up at all. Whereas InsaneFirebat will be able to do some really cool strats in Lower Norfair, for example, and the rest of Meridia using that item. So not only will it be Space Jump, but also the other item he's heading to get right now, which is the Plasma Beam. Typo, there's all kinds of cool properties with Plasma Beam. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, Plasma Beam, the main thing that is good for new route runners is it just makes the route that much easier. For instance, the Ridley fight would normally be 60 shots if you had Spazer, Ice, and Charge, but with the addition of the Plasma Beam, you're bringing that down to 20. The other good thing is you can use it to hitbox enemies. So once you see InsaneFirebat go down to Lower Norfair, you may see him encounter some of the key hunters, some of those pirate-looking enemies down there, and he will be able to shoot them right when he's walking through them and avoid any damage.
Yeah, Plasma really is a really incredible beam. It's pretty awesome, not only the damage, but the kind of cool tech you can do with it. So it'll be cool to see how InsaneFirebat utilizes it throughout the run. Lynx grabbing his Kraid quick kill, easy peasy. And he's now going to pick up various suit. And the only item left that I think that he will pick up will be the Ba-20 tank. I would like to point out, though, that that is not a mandatory pickup. In fact, in my PB, if I recall correctly, I grabbed the Ridley tank, but I skipped the Ba-20 tank because I already had 3. And I instead opted to farm some supers instead to get a little bit more leeway and advance a Torian. But I would imagine that in this race scenario, knowing that he's in the lead, that he will grab that 4th tank to give himself some more leeway, which I think would be a smart decision.
Yeah. So he is leaving a warehouse right now and going down referred to as the toilet, not officially, of course. But, yeah, one of the exits from Meridia. And after this InsaneFirebat, we'll be heading down to Lower Norfair after he gets ice.
And Lynx will now be basically heading in to do the exact same stuff that InsaneFirebat did in Meridia. The only difference will be that once he kills Dragon, he won't be pathing to pick up Plasma. Instead, he will be heading out as quickly as he can to go back to the surface, where he'll run by the ship. So the primary reason that you see New Route as the fastest way to run this game in terms of any percent, no major glitches, is the pathing. You only go through Norfair 1 time, and then you already are in the uppermost portion of the map, basically, when you kill Dragon, and you just exit right to the top. So Meridia has an exit that leads to Red Tower, and that's 1 elevator ride away from the surface. So Lynx is going to head to Ba-20, and then we'll see him head to Dragon after that.
Yeah, so InsaneFirebat picking up ice here. Lynx is going to be doing an X Factor, just like that. Gets all 4 particles, that's excellent. And has a textbook Batoon fight, that's excellent.
That was gorgeous.
I just want to say one thing. Both of these runners are making this look very easy. It's not actually this easy. This is a tough run, and I'm pretty impressed by how smooth this is going.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed with both runners. They're both playing phenomenally, and as Typo just mentioned, I really would encourage anybody out there who loves to watch these runs. If you're interested in learning some, we have a fantastic community. There's a lot of people that would love to help. One thing I love about the Super Metroid community, I feel like everybody sort of feels like they're in it together because the game is so hard and it beats us all up that we all we all have a common enemy, so to speak. So both of these runners really making it look a lot smoother than it is, and I can promise you that both of these guys had to put in a lot of hours to make it look like this.
Yeah, definitely. So Lynx coming into the Dragon fight now. Is there anything else you want to add about Dragon here that I might have missed during Firebat's fight?
No, not really. One just really small nuance. The primary reason that I believe, it's hard to tell sometimes, but the primary reason I believe InsaneFirebat just barely missed the three spark kill and had to get a 4th spark was because his 2nd spark actually started pretty far away from Dragon. One really small thing that I learned from Galamaz, who's one of our sort of really intelligent runners who's done a lot of tricks here, is that the closer you are to Dragon, the more damage you do because the Shine Spark picks up speed over time. And the amount of damage that you do is based on the amount of time you sort of spend inside of her hitbox or whatever. But in the meantime, Lynx had basically the most perfect fight you can have for Dragon. That was actually a 2 spark kill.
And got Spike Suit too, so that's really nice.
Yeah, he is crushing it. That's basically world record strats right there.
Yeah, and InsaneFirebat going through worst room in the game here that we saw Lynx going through before. He has ice, so it does make the room easier, but still Lord Norfair is no walk in the park.
You'll notice that Lynx is heading back through the Batoon room. That's something that you did not see InsaneFirebat do. Again, Lynx will not be picking up the plasma beam because it takes too long to pick up in terms of the amount of time saved from damage on Mother Brain. So he's going to head up to the surface here shortly. He's only got a few more rooms to go through. InsaneFirebat using these sweet spacer strats, as mentioned, or excuse me, sweet plasma strats, as mentioned earlier. Plasma does so much damage that you can actually kill a lot of these creatures in here with your beams in a way that Lynx wasn't able to earlier with just his plasma, or with his spacer combo, excuse me.
Yeah, so InsaneFirebat going through Wasteland here, you can see that he uses that plasma there to hitbox through those side hoppers. What are the official names of those? I can't remember.
The Skigas.
The Skigas, yeah, thank you. And Lynx is actually heading up towards G4.
Yeah, one quick thing to kind of mention in advance for those of you that might watch multiple of these runs. I think the majority of the players in this tournament run new route, but we definitely have several people that run old route. Not in every single case, but in the average situations, new route typically has a little bit more dicey Torian than old route based on the number of super missiles that you arrive with. You'll notice that Lynx only has 3. He technically could have farmed a little bit more, but obviously every farm eats up, those precious seconds. And so he basically really needs the Metroids to cooperate and drop enough supers for him to move through the 4 rooms to have. Since he has 20 missiles, he'll need at minimum 9 supers. So, that's kind of the last sort of big hurdle for him, especially with 4 tanks. I don't imagine many scenarios where the Mother Brain fight goes so poorly that he would die with 4 tanks. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how these drops go. InsaneFirebat cleaning up Ridley No Sweat, 20 charge shots, and now Lynx is doing his jumps here in G4.
And what would you say for a new route run through Turian from G4 to the close of the game? About 9 minutes or so?
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm one of those runners that I don't really have the times memorized. But I think it's I think it's like a really good one. I think is south of about 8 minutes and 20 seconds or so.
Okay.
So I could be wrong about that. We can kind of time it here and see. But I might be thinking about the time into G4 versus, like most people split at G4 as opposed to like in Torian.
Yeah.
But the only difference, really, the only kind of main difference is the fight. The Mother Brain 2 fight will only be 20 shots for InsaneFirebat with his beam combo. It'll be 60 for Lynx. There are a few rooms where InsaneFirebat can go a little bit faster with his space jump, but it's not, anything crazy. It's only a few seconds. So the main thing is the fight.
Yeah. The other advantage that InsaneFirebat has going into Turian is space jump in a way, unless you just feel without space jump to be more natural for the Metroid rooms.
Yeah, for sure. And we just are seeing right now one of the issues here. Lynx did have an excellent first room where he got up to 7 supers. He's got 8 now. I imagine he'll probably be good to go unless something weird happens. But if you look at InsaneFirebat right now, he's already full on supers and he hasn't even left Lower Norfair yet. He will have to shoot, I believe, 1, if I recall correctly, before he gets, or I think 2 actually, before he gets to G4. But he will walk in with 8 as opposed to the 3 that Lynx walked in with. So that's kind of an example of what we were discussing earlier. Usually with old route, you don't have to worry about the RNG quite so much.
Yeah, it looks like Lynx is good though. He gets the full 20 and 10 going in here, and now he'll be attempting to perform something called Baby Skip, which in the best case scenario, what do you think it saves? About 25 seconds?
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, like how you miss it, like how badly you miss it and stuff like that. But it can definitely save anywhere between, 22, 23 to 30 seconds, just depending on how you do it. Unfortunately, Lynx missed it here. Not a huge deal. I mean, he's got a very significant lead. Even if InsaneFirebat were to get the Baby Skip, the time that he would save in that particular area wouldn't be enough to make up the time that he's behind at the moment. Unless something happens to Lynx. But Lynx is just going to go ahead and shoot this missile door open, and then he's going to refill at minimum on energy, but considering that he used regular missiles, yeah, I think he's going to play it a bit safe here and grab a few extra missiles to make sure he doesn't soft lock at Mother Brain 1.
Yeah, and we'll see if he decides whether to take the save or not. Always a nice thing. There is a save right before the entry to the Mother Brain room, and it may be the deciding factor here in the run. We'll see.
Yeah, this is always one of those saves where you kind of have to think about, whether you want to do it or not. Typically, Mother Brain 2, I'm not saying it's a free fight by any stretch of the imagination, but it's usually not the traditional place where people would lose a run. But at the same time, it's always better to be safe than sorry. I think Lynx is aware that he's ahead, so he's going to eat the, roughly 10 to 12 seconds to get that save in. I think that's a good call.
Yeah. So InsaneFirebat's about a minute away from G4 now, and Lynx is doing something called Zebetide Skip. Do you want to explain this? You might be able to explain it better than I.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I probably don't have the single most scientific way to explain it, but long story short, if you freeze the Zebetite inside, if you freeze the Rinka inside of the Zeb there, then basically it changes the way that you, I think, collide with the Zeb, which I believe is considered I think it's like an enemy or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, you're allowed to then clip through it if you do a series of jumps correctly. So I would say, to a degree, I would say after that early Supers mock ball, that's probably the second most important trick to learn, because if you don't do that, and you don't do a harder skip with the speed booster, which most people that are new, probably are not going to necessarily want to look into immediately, you'd have to have enough ammo to get through those Zebetites, and that would add a ton of time to the run. So pretty important trick there. And now InsaneFirebat is in G4.
All right, nice. So this is the 60-shot fight for Lynx versus Mother Brain 2. Just keep in mind that the fight for InsaneFirebat will only be 20 shots. So I guess catch-up beam that Mother Brain does will last for a little bit longer for Lynx as he hits shot number 45, and we should be seeing that beam very soon. And there's the first one.
Yeah, basically, unless my memory is mistaken, I believe that if you sit exactly at 75% damage done to Mother Brain 2, she won't catch up you. It's the basically 1 damage after that where she'll start the red beam phase. And so in old route, the 16th shot is where she will begin because the 15th is 75%, whereas here it's the 46th shot. So basically Lynx will be doing a lot less damage on the shot that leads to the red beam phase than InsaneFirebat will. So a lot of times in old route, you will see like a 1 catch up fight simply because of the timing of when that 16th shot happens.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't actually know that. All right, so Lynx gets past that fight very smoothly. Pretty much, once again, a textbook fight there. InsaneFirebat getting some really good Metroid rooms here. He's at 20 and 9, and in this last room, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to pick up 1 more super, but even without that 1 super, he should be fine. And he does get it. So he'll now head into the baby room and try to get that same skip that Lynx missed earlier.
Yeah, one quick piece of information for anybody out there that might not be aware. Once you defeat Mother Brain 2, or once you do enough damage to get her to stop attacking you, she will fire an unavoidable rainbow beam attack at you, which does exactly 300 damage if you have on the Various suit. If you don't have on the Various suit, it does 600 damage. So sometimes people ask, why do people get Varia? Why don't they just skip it if you already have gravity, especially with, new route runs? And that's the primary reason. If you did not, you'd have to pick up more energy tanks. In the meantime, InsaneFirebat getting the very nice baby Metroid skip. That's a great strat there.
Yeah, that was beautiful. We can now see Lynx going into the Mother Brain 3 fight. Now that you have this overpowered beam, you can kind of just shoot her in the face and send her to the back of the room. And you see that he's actually standing close to her and jumping up and down, which reduces the lag. The other strat you can do here is you can stand in the back and just shoot the beam kind of diagonally at her, but that does increase the lag in the room.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you'd be surprised. When you're a newer runner, you might not really think about it, but lag in this game can add a lot of time. So there's a lot of strats that people do to reduce lag from not only the hyper beam here, but also like with power bombs and such throughout the run. Pretty big deal when you're trying to run the fastest times that you can.
Yeah, for sure. We do run this most commonly using RTA. There are some IGT strats that are used, and some runners might do IGT, but most runners just stick to RTA, and so you have to worry about lag in the majority of the rooms.
That is a great point. Yeah, the lag does not affect the in-game time at all. But here we see InsaneFirebat getting very close to being done with his fight. He's already in the catch-up phase. He's actually going to get a 2 catch-up here because of some of the sort of odd timing on some of those shots, but he is done. Notice he has 379 health. He will go down all the way to 79. You got to have over 301. You have to have 301 or more to survive that attack. So technically you can kill Mother Brain 2, but still die to her rainbow beam. Lynx exiting without saving the animals. And if you think about all the safeties he put in, he's still going to run a 45, which is a very, very nice time in any percent in Super Metroid. So GG to Lynx, the winner of this this match. That's round number 1 down for him. He will move on to the second round to face the winner of the Feral SR versus Scotty McBody match, whereas InsaneFirebat, even though he lost this match, will not be I guess defeated from the tournament or knocked out of the tournament. He will actually just move to the losers bracket, and he will have at least 1 more race. This is a double elimination tournament.
Yeah, it's really good to see talented runners like InsaneFirebat not get knocked out immediately, and we'll see him proceed through the losers bracket. And a lot of the other runners who are running in this tournament, they may have some close matches, but they'll be able to keep going.
Yeah, I really like that too. It's going to be great to see more runs from these guys. Also, I just kind of want to point out that InsaneFirebat here is going to finish with like a very comfortable sub 50 time in a race scenario, and I think we can all sort of acknowledge that anytime we're racing in front of hundreds of people, there's a little bit of nerves, stuff like that. So to have a sub 50 time in this scenario is still incredibly good. A sub 50 time in this game is not something that comes easy at all. So this is a really nice performance by him as well.
Yeah, and you can see that InsaneFirebat's now going into Mother Brain 3 phase, doing the same thing that Lynx is, and then he'll do a very similar escape. And he should be done in approximately a minute and a half.
Yeah, he's getting very close here to being done. One thing we pointed out, Lynx, or that we did see, Lynx did not save the animals. We'll see if InsaneFirebat chooses to or not.
In terms of my opinion, it's a bit taboo to do so. It's totally up to what the runner wants to do. Do you have any specific opinion on saving the animals, Kid?
I do, meaning no offense or disrespect to anyone. I think saving the animals is objectively the wrong choice. It's bad. Don't do it.
I would totally agree. All right, so InsaneFirebat heading back through here, you'll see that he has no moonfall as you've seen for the rest, so he'll be going down that shaft a little bit slower. But as Kip mentioned before, it's only about a 7-second time save for the main moonfalls throughout the run. He's going to head into this room, do an upspark, and he should be at the ship within about 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, he's going to go for the final time through Parlor here. This time with a lot more equipment than he had the first time we saw him come through here. And let's check and see if he's going to save the animals or not. He is not. InsaneFirebat making the excellent choice. Great job. And he will finish, if the Steam doesn't give him a hard time, a sub 49. Excellent. 48:59 run by InsaneFirebat.
Awesome. So 2 great runs by both of these runners, GG to InsaneFirebat, and of course GG to Lynx on his win. I don't know. What else is there to say? That was, I mean, I know I already said textbook twice, but that was pretty much a textbook run for both of these runners.
Yeah, it looked great. Nothing really to say other than both runners did a great job. The last thing we'll say before we head out, I know we have a lot of other things going on this channel. Just remember to type !bet, BET, to get a look at a link from the sponsor of this tournament. This is a cash tournament sponsored tournament. We will have the top 4 runners in this tournament basically get some form of payout. So you guys can check out. I think you can bet on a lot of the races that are happening on this channel by checking out that link. We just want to thank everybody for watching. Hope you come back for many more races over the course of this tournament. Typo, I really appreciated you doing commentary with me tonight. I'll let you have the final word, and I hope you have a nice evening.
Yeah, I do appreciate it, Kip joining in. I appreciate the runners doing this. I appreciate everyone that is organizing this tournament and the sponsors. And yeah, be sure to stick around to watch the next matches. I believe we have another one tomorrow, and maybe even a few more. I haven't checked the schedule, but be sure to check the schedule within the bottom of the GSA area on Twitch. And yeah, we'll see you next mission.